Heading into this season, there weren't many people who would have expected the Boston Bruins to be the top team in the entire National Hockey League over halfway through the year. And no one would have expected them to be on pace to potentially break the NHL record for most wins in a regular season. And it's not that the Bees didn't have a good team on paper, but it's mainly because they would be missing some key components of their lineup for a large chunk of the first half of the year. Notably Brad Marchand, who underwent hip surgery and would miss the start of the season, and Charlie McAvoy, who missed even more time due to a complex shoulder injury. But thanks to the depth on the team's roster, the incredible leadership from guys like Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci, and a new head coach behind the bench, Jim Montgomery, the team didn't skip a beat. This Boston team would start out the season winning 17 of their first 19 games, and literally did not lose a home game in regulation until January 12th against the Seattle Kraken. So why exactly are the Boston Bruins dominating the NHL this season? Can they continue this historic year to the end of the regular season and into the playoffs? All the pieces have started to fall in place for the Boston Bruins this year. It seems like all the moves they've made in the last year and a half or so have worked out extremely well. Despite making the playoffs for a sixth season in a row, last year's Bruins would be taken down in the first round by Carolina, and management decided it was time to move on from head coach Bruce Cassidy. This would lead to the hiring of former Dallas Stars coach Jim Montgomery, whom, under a fresh start in Boston, has excelled and gotten a ton out of his team so far. During the offseason, there were also question marks about whether or not Patrice Bergeron would be coming back to the team. And there were also rumors about a potential reunion for center David Krejci, who had spent the 2021-22 season playing in the Czech League. And sure enough, on August 8th, both Krejci and Bergeron would agree to one-year deals to give it another go. The team was back together, and the guys were seemingly going into this year with a last dance type of mentality. Another huge reason for Boston's success so far this season has been because of key trades made either in the offseason or last year. In March of 2022, the Bruins would acquire defenseman Hampus Lindholm from the Anaheim Ducks, and he has been a huge part of the D-Corps' success. The 29-year-old Swede also signed a big extension shortly after that trade, and this year, when McAvoy was out, he stepped up big time, showing how good of a player he really is, elevating his play all over the ice, and currently on pace to crush his career high points totals. This offseason, GM Don Sweeney made a solid move, trading for 25-year-old forward Pavel Zacha in exchange for Eric Holla. Zacha has contributed very nicely on the Bees' second line, even well enough to earn him a 4-year extension he recently signed in January. Another reason why Boston has been so dominant throughout the season is because they split up the perfection line and have an extremely deep forward group. I know this isn't their first time doing it, but by having 3 lines that could all produce, it makes this team a major threat. Marchand and Bergeron have been doing their thing on that top line most of the year. David Pastrnak is having a career year, on pace for 60 goals and currently in 3rd place in points among the entire league. Playing with fellow Czechs, Krejci and Zacha has really brought out the best in all 3 of those guys. And of course, you can't forget about Taylor Hall on the 3rd line with Charlie Coyle. The former superstar Hall is now playing with a lot less pressure, not having to be the number 1 guy on his team for offense. The offense is clearly stacked, and when you look at the defense core, there aren't really many weaknesses there either. First off, you have a guy who can play anywhere in Matt Grzelcyk, with stud Charlie McAvoy in the top pair. McAvoy, who is one of my favorite players in the league and a guy who probably doesn't get as much credit as he should, mainly because he doesn't always put up the points like some of the other top defensemen in the league. Then you've got Hampus Lindholm and Brandon Carlo on the second pair, who are really tough to play against, and even Derek Forbort on the 3rd pairing, who is a very serviceable guy back there. But one of the main reasons as to why this Boston team has a chance to break the NHL wins record is because of the next level goaltending they've gotten from both Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman. Both of these guys played 41 games apiece last season and were solid, but this year, Ullmark's play has forced the coaching staff's hand, along with Swayman being injured at times. Nonetheless, Ullmark has been spectacular, currently with a 25-2-1 record, .938 save percentage, and 1.82 goals against average. These numbers have him first among all NHL goalies in save percentage, goals against, and wins. He has to be the front runner for Vezina at this point. team's numbers also don't lie this year, as Boston currently is first in the NHL in both goals for and goals against. They also have the second best power play, at 27%, and are first among league ranks on the penalty kill at about 87%. The Boston Bruins have been amazing to watch so far this season, and a lot of the team's numbers and player performances jump off the page. But will they be able to go on another deep run in the postseason? And should they win the President's Trophy, could they be the first team since the 2013 Blackhawks to win both the President's and Stanley Cup? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.